All right, so this is Hotel Transylvania, Transformania. It's the new Hotel Transylvania movie on Amazon Prime. I believe this is the fourth movie. I saw the second one. I didn't like it. I saw the third one. Didn't like it. And I don't like this one either. I still have not seen the first one. I haven't had time to do it, even though I keep wanting to, I guess. That one would probably blow my mind by the time I watch it because it's the only one that I guess is good. Adam Sandler and Kevin James didn't even come back for this one, so clearly, even they're like, okay, this series is over. It really should have probably ended with the first one. It's directed by Derek Dryman and Jennifer Kleska. So, in this one, Dracula wants to retire from the hotel and leave it to Mavis, his daughter, played by Selena Gomez, and her husband, Jonathan, played by Andy Samberg. And Jonathan is an asshole and always messes things up. So Dracula doesn't want to give it to them because of that. He thinks he's going to ruin the hotel. So he tells them, "Hey, there's this thing with, real estate or whatever where I can't give it to you because you're a human." When he says that to Jonathan. So Jonathan goes to talk to Van Helsing, who just happens to be, I guess, living in the basement of the hotel now, and he has this little lab or whatever. And so he just happens to have this weapon or whatever, this ray gun that can turn monsters into humans and humans into monsters. So he gets turned into a monster, and then he's like, "Oh, look at this!" And he's this giant green thing, and he starts just causing havoc in the hotel. He wants to show it to Mavis, but Dracula stops him. But then Dracula actually gets hit with the ray and gets turned into a human. He's got like a beer gut and things like that. And his buddies actually drink from some water that also had it in there. So they end up turning into humans also. Frankenstein, the Invisible Man, the Blob, whatever. So Jonathan and uh, Dracula, they have to go on a journey through forest and stuff like that to get a new gem for the ray because the gem that it was using got broken conveniently right after Dracula got turned into a human. Positives. The intro in the movie, the very beginning, starts with Dracula and Mavis, and Dracula singing "Just the Two of Us" to her as she's growing up. I like that. I thought it was kind of adorable. One of the best parts of these movies is the kind of family dynamic between Mavis and Dracula. So that worked until Jonathan came in and ruined it, as he does with most things in these movies. No matter how bad things are, he comes in to be worse. He's definitely the worst part of this, but I did enjoy that earlier on. I like Mavis. Selena Gomez does a pretty good job as the character again. The character doesn't do too much, but she's still likable. Erica, who was Van Helsing's descendant or whatever that Dracula ended up with in the third movie. That's how forgettable that third movie is. When I first saw her, I went, "Who is she again?" But she's played by Catherine Hahn, and I liked her character too. Even though once again she doesn't really have that much to do. Like a good part of it is to keep them from finding out, so they don't really get involved until a little bit later. But I thought they were good. And probably my favorite part is Van Helsing, played by Jim Gaffigan. He is actually kind of fun. He's weird in a fun way, like going through his little lab or whatever, where he has little convenient spaces for him to fit in and things like that. I thought that was kind of fun. He uses the ray on one of like the hamsters or whatever, turns it into a monster. I kind of liked him. Oh, and the replacements for Kevin James and Adam Sandler, that is Brian Hull and Brad Abel, they're pretty good. Actually, I would say Brian Hull does a pretty good impression of Adam Sandler's voice for that character. Like you could have tricked me into thinking it was Adam Sandler if I didn't already know. So I thought he did pretty good. That is it. This is pretty much as lazy and pointless as you can think of. There's barely really a story going on. The jokes don't really land almost at all. There's a lot of kind of jokes that you've seen in other things where a character will come in right as characters are talking about something. "Oh, Mavis, we weren't talking about anything. The Wolfman was just going to show us a dance move," and he starts dancing. It's lazy stuff like that you've seen in I don't know how many movies. A lot of it is just kind of Dracula walking through the forest with Jonathan, and there's like some slapstick going on. It's to the point where it's like he's a human, right? So there's a couple of times where it's like he should probably be dead, but whatever. There's really just not a lot going on. Earlier on, it's just Jonathan sucks. He gets turned into a monster. Things go awry, kind of, and then it's let's go on this journey or whatever. Dracula's a human now, so he can go in the sun. So he can look up at the sun, and his eyes start hurting, and he starts running through the through the street in the traffic, and it's like, okay, who cares? It's like it doesn't really. There's nothing here. I mean, it really shouldn't be. Almost. It shouldn't be a movie at all. It shouldn't exist at all. But if it was going to exist, just like the last one, and I would even say the second one, maybe an episode of a TV show. But that's it. I mean, a lot of it does kind of just feel like padding because there's not really much going on. And the movie itself is already like, what, an hour and a half, hour 27 or something like that? The ray gun itself is not really consistent. And that's probably one of the things that got on my nerves earlier on the most, right? Like, you can shoot the ray gun at that giant dog with the human setting and turn it into a regular dog. It's like, but it's the human setting, right? You can turn a zombie, I guess, into a human, and he's like, yeah, the nightmare is over. It's like, okay, well, you just brought that zombie back to life. There's a part where the mummy gets hit with the ray, and it gets turned into an Egyptian. It's like, okay, mummies are mummified, dead Egyptian people in tombs and things like that. But it's like, okay, well, that's not. You didn't turn the mummy into a human. You just brought him back to life. I mean, that's, I shouldn't be thinking about that, but I couldn't help it. You turn the blob into like, some Jello or something like that with the human setting. Like, that didn't even make sense. Like, some of it was alright, like the Wolfman, I guess, and Frankenstein. Frankenstein, I guess, is handsome now. I guess that could kind of be funny to some people. I didn't find it all that funny, but it's something. There's also the Invisible Man. It's like you turned him with the human setting. You made him not invisible, but it's like the Invisible Man is still a human, though. You just can't see him. Anyway, that's stupid. But like even that might be going too far. But even in this movie, they show Dracula stopping time, and I was like, I don't remember that in other movies, but it might have been there. All right, so I'll give you the benefit of the doubt on that. But when he's chasing Jonathan through the hallway, trying to keep him from getting to Mavis, why don't you just stop time, right? Why don't you hypnotize him like you did the grandkid and the wolf kid, right? Like, I mean, there's.
It can't be.
Wow, look at us, Drac. You're human and I'm a monster. It's like Freaky Friday, but on a Tuesday, though.
It was frustrating, right? Because it shows just how lazy the plot is. I mean, it really is. All this is just the gimmick, right? You also have the storyline of him and Jonathan kind of coming together after, not really getting along. Because Jonathan is awful. I hate Jonathan. He's so annoying. They need to take him out back and like shoot him in the head of Mice and Men style at some point, right? Mavis is insanely out of his league. But that's really it. Like that's the whole plot. There's certain things that are all right. There's also like this moral and of Jonathan and Dracula finally starting to somewhat understand each other and get along. But it's really paper thin and there's not much to it. This whole thing about seeing things on the bright side. A burned marshmallow is still creamy on the inside if you look at things from a positive outlook. And I guess that's fine for kids, but there's just so nothing here, As cash grabby as Adam Sandler is, it's kind of funny to think that he would be the one to be like, guys, when are we going to be done with this? It's over. It's been over. But whatever. It's still, I guess, okay for kids, and I still remember disliking the second one more. So, whatever. I guess looking at things on the bright side, I guess it could have been worse. It could have had a dance number at the end, but they get that out of the way real early on with the cha-cha slide at the anniversary for the hotel. So I'm going to give it a rental, and hopefully this is it. There doesn't need to be any more of these, definitely. You'd really be stretching it thin at that point. Like, Dracula's long-lost brother is going to come into town, and they're going to be fighting over, I don't know, the hotel or something. I don't know. I have no idea what they would have to do to stretch this to do another movie, but that's it. That's Hotel Transylvania, Transformania? I couldn't even think of the title. And that's it. We're done.